Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Todd Clint's SharePoint Podcast number 323, recorded live Monday, January 16th, 2017, the podcast that nearly didn't happen. I am your host, Todd Clint, and because of my love and dedication for all of you, I'm doing this podcast on like 3 hours of sleep. We'll get into that later, but that is how much I love you and how much I feel bad about leaving you in Justin Shane's hands. It's happened too many times that it is. So I'm Todd Clint, and then again, because of my legal issues and some public service, this guy's with me.
And my name is Shane Young. I am the rock solid bed. I'm the guy who makes this show work, damn it. That's all I got to say. I'd like to point out as well, before you interrupt me there, you should start over, right? Because you've used the title, The Show That Almost Didn't Happen, like once every other week that you've been here.
It's a fairly, it's a fairly common thing. Yeah.
So should we make that like part 17, right? The Show That Almost Didn't Happen?
Yes, I think that's fair. That's fair.
Right, we'll have prequels and sequels and...
Oh, prequels. Yeah, that's a great idea.
And then we'll make a movie that shoves in between two movies that doesn't...
Like a half, but it isn't part of the canon, but or part of the story. Yeah, that's good. That's good management thinking there.
We should sell that to Disney. I think they'd like that idea.
Yeah. Did you give me your information?
Fine. So, hey, you can hit me up on Twitter at Shane's Cows, right? That's where you can tweet me. You can see the wonderful tweet I posted earlier today where someone sent me a picture of one of our SharePoint books. All the pages were all yellow, all over Todd's work, and their puppy was laying there. I think they're using it for housebreaking. We knew there were a lot of uses for a book. Apparently, puppy training is now one of them.
I think there's a lot of training that can happen from our books. Why wouldn't potty training be part of that as well?
Seems reasonable.
I think so.
You can always hit me up on the YouTubes, right? Shane Young Cloud. So YouTube/Shane Young Cloud. More videos, less Todd. It's a good win. And then consulting. Good old bold zebras. Everyone likes a bold zebra. Come see me.
I don't like those passive zebras. Those ones that just hang around. It's the bold ones that really stand out to me.
You know, and when we were making the logo, right, we really had to work on that. Turns out that the ones that face left are the passive ones. The ones that face right are the ones that are moving forward. And all the symbolism stuff got into the conversations. It got real weird real fast. So
that's crazy.
Our zebra looks the right direction, is looking forward. It can help you move forward too.
Well, I don't know what else to say. I can't follow that up. All right. So for production notes, yes, we are all caught up once again. I got the podcast or the blog post late, but it's out. We're all caught up. I have no reason to believe we won't be staying caught up. This is like the 4th week in a row I've not been behind.
You're crushing it. I don't know what else to say. I am in utter shock how well you've done at keeping this thing going.
I'm kind of proud of myself. So that's good. So Shane put the channel 22 or 322 is not up on channel 9 yet. There is a really complicated workflow that gets our podcasts up on channel 9, and it has just as much human intervention as is humanly possible. And that's kind of an odd turn of phrase, but yeah, there's no automation anywhere. It's very slow,
Yeah, and the thing with Channel 9, right, it takes a lot of work to get it out there, right? I mean, there's physically carrying the bits over and putting them on the little box.
Sending them on a train and yeah.
But, I don't know if it's their analytics aren't right, but it's weird, right? So, like, one show will have, X number of views, and the next show will have 0 views. And then...
So I think I have an explanation for that. So I think the shows that have 0 views are the ones that I'm not on. So I think those are the ones that you do by yourself. And I suspect that's, if we go back and look, I think we're gonna notice a correlation there.
Let's see. So the ransomware Christmas special, I believe you were part of that one, right?
Yeah, I am.
0 views. Not again. The one that I did has the most views of any of the shows we've done. So
was that right after the ransomware Christmas special?
Yes.
So I think people saw that I was in the previous one, and they're like, "Oh yeah," and then they watch the next one, and yeah.
I mean, I think there is a correlation. I just don't think it's as flattering for you as you were hoping it was.
Probably not. Our last production note. Do you want to hit that one up?
Oh yes. So as you can all see, I'm no longer wearing the dorky headset. I'm just my natural dorky self today.
Just innate dorkiness now.
Yeah, it's wonderful. But the Yeti, after like 6 weeks of working with their support people, has finally been returned to me. I'm very thankful. I'm very happy the process works, but gosh, they're almost as slow as posting something to Channel 9.
Almost, probably more people involved. And the great news about that is we've been hearing about how Shane doesn't have his Yeti for weeks now, months, years. I've lost track. So the week he gets that done, I fire up XSplit, the software that we use to do this thing. And it's like, hey, and of course I fired up like 30 seconds before we're supposed to go on air. And it's like, hey, we got an update here, got an update here, got an update there. And wisely, I choose not to install them and nothing works. So I kill it all, and then I fire it up again, and I install all the updates, and nothing works. So we spent like 15 minutes troubleshooting the audio. So as of right now, 5-ish minutes into the podcast, everything's still good. I haven't screwed it up yet.
Is this once again, since we're doing the reoccurring theme, does this mean we've peaked again, right? This is as good as it's ever going to get with us. You know,
Yep.
The audio works, the video works. We're not lagging. Right? We should just stop.
Yeah, just retire right now. Be done.
Peace them out.
Yep. All right, so on to topics. A quick moment. I talked about it a little bit. I whined a little bit. I went down last night to watch the Kansas City Chiefs play the Pittsburgh Steelers. Spent the weekend in Kansas City. Got to see the game. It was amazing, except for that part where they didn't win. That part I could have done without. Wife and I thought we were being smart. The game ended up being a late game, so we rented a hotel room. We were going to stay overnight and then drive back this morning. But then an ice storm decided to insert itself between when the game ended and when we were going to leave the next morning. And so we went ahead and drove home, and I got home at like 4:30 this morning. But again, because I love you folks, I got right up, showered mostly, and here I am.
Yeah, well, the good news is you got out of town before the Steelers could get to the bars, right? I mean, Joey Porter didn't have a chance to meet up with the cops.
But so this is true. But we were walking, so we were staying across the street from the stadium, and there's cops out there directing traffic, like cops that went to the law enforcement academy, have badges, have guns, can arrest people. I assume can use tactics that they are not camera friendly, all those kind of things. And so some lady on this road here. The cop walks out into the crosswalk to tell the traffic to stop so we can cross the street. She's driving some minivan. She doesn't stop. She's just like, hell with this guy. And so he like smacks her windshield. And he's like, stop. And she's on her phone. And she's like, and so she kind of stops and she kind of gives him a dirty look and she starts to go again. And he's like, stop. And she rolls her window. She starts arguing with him. She starts explaining to him how it's okay if she goes. I thought he was just going to take. So of course, we've got, 80,000 drunken people. They're all like, taser. I got my cell phone out. He didn't taser. I was heartily disappointed.
Did he pull her out of the car, or did he just yell at her and let her go?
He yelled at her a bunch. When we got out of earshot, they were still arguing back and forth. And I'm like, because it was cold and it was rainy, so he's like wearing a lot of gear. I don't think she realized there was a cop car sitting there, and he could shoot her and drop a throwaway gun and frame her. I mean, this was all very legit, and I don't think she understood.
Yeah, well, and I've noticed like a lot of the Bengals games and events down in Cincinnati. I don't know if this is the same for Kansas City, but we use people who've been and passed the police academy, but they're like not deputies. They're actually they work in like the jail and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think while they have law enforcement powers, they really don't. So I think that, sometimes those guys, right, they're the ones that are most likely to yell and scream because in reality they can't pull her out and they can't tase her because then they'll get their tasers taken away. So.
The best thing about it was she was so not concerned. Like she's still on her phone. She's still hanging. I was like, there's nothing. It's like some random guy, like a little kid was yelling at her or something. It was awesome. But anyway, so we should talk about some stuff, some actual technology and SharePoint stuff and all that.
I mean, we're only like 10 minutes in the show. Why would we switch to the thing that people came for?
And 15 minutes late. So the first one, I'm going to skip the first one in there. The first one that I wanted to talk about is something that we first heard about at Ignite, and it was pretty excited, but it actually is out now, I believe, and that is conditional access for SharePoint Online. And this is the ability inside of SharePoint Online, so Office 365 and OneDrive for Business and all that, to set access policies by IP addresses. This is really cool. So this is the idea that you can say, people in our tenant can only access our stuff if they're coming from our internet connection. But if they're home, they can't. Or if they're, in China, they can't. If they're, in a sweatshop someplace in Elbonia, they can't. So this is really this is good stuff, and it's just another one of the great security things that you can get in Office 365.
Yeah, I mean, it just continues to reinforce that concept, right? That Office 365, Azure, they're all more secure than your data center. I don't care what you say. They are more secure. And This article, I think, is a great example of them kind of walking through, hey, here's what it can affect. And they have an FAQ section down at the bottom where they talk about, no, this doesn't apply to your SharePoint on-prem, dummy.
I did like that part. I did like that, yeah.
Right, and the fact that it clearly says SharePoint Online means it doesn't affect Exchange or any of that stuff. But then other than demeaning people, they also remind you things like, so it would block like OneDrive sync from your phone. But in reality, if you've got a SharePoint environment that's so secure you're using IP protection for it, you probably shouldn't be letting people take that offline with their devices anyway, because then you lose control. So I don't know. I thought they did a really good job of kind of framing how to use it and the scenarios where it made sense, trying to cut off those people going, but it breaks blah, blah, blah. So
yeah, they did a good job with that. I agree. And it was a good balance between information and snark. Reminds me of the game yesterday, getting ready to go into the game. They got metal detectors. And there's a lady out there saying, take out all the metal and electronics out of your pocket. Be ready. Have it out. I swear to God, she says this and some woman says, do I have to take out my cell phone? Her cell phone is both metal and electronic. And yeah. Go ahead and take that out too. Yeah.
I got nothing. There's just no point. You're not going to help that lady. Apparently she runs over cops too. So what the heck?
Yeah. But I do agree that they did a good job here trying to catch all of the, but what if, yeah, I agree that they did a great job with that one. And that's good stuff. And that is just another one of those things, you and I, 10 years ago, the things that we said about the cloud and the security, correct for the time. We were not incorrect, but they are not correct for this time, for right now. And there's just a lot of great security things that you can do now in Office 365 that you couldn't do before.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because they kind of alluded to it, but they said, well, what about things like Teams that kind of integrates with SharePoint? If you've got those IP addresses blocked, you can still get into Teams, but you might have unpredictable access or issues. So I don't know. I guess it will be interesting to see how many support calls this setting does. I guess also it's very easy for the administrator to block their own IP address, and they're like, just open a ticket if you've done it.
I did like that. Whatever you do, and it's right at the beginning, too. They didn't wait till the fact at the bottom in case you saw it and got all excited. It's right at the top of the article.
So you wonder just, how many tickets, right? I want to see the metrics. How many tickets they get on, I locked myself out with IP control. And it doesn't require the Azure Active Directory Premium stuff, right? Because that has some of its own lockdown capabilities built into it. But if you don't have that, you still have complete access to the SharePoint stuff. So kudos. Yeah.
Good stuff. So if you've got Office 365 and all that, check that out. Read up on that article. That's on techcommunity.microsoft.com. It'll be in the show notes. Check it out. Another one that I thought was fun that I read this week was an article on PowerShell. So I'm always doing PowerShell stuff. I love me some PowerShell. And this was an article about using test net connection in PowerShell. So this is kind of like the new version of Ping, sort of, but you can do a bunch of other things with it. My buddy Adam Bertram wrote this one. So I kind of wanted to bring this up for two reasons. Number one, just to kind of let people know about this commandlet, test-net connection, that tests your net connection. It kind of replaces ping and traceroute and some other things, but it can also do port scans, things like that. But one thing that I liked is, and I didn't realize this until I read Adam's article, was if you do test net connection information level detailed, but don't put anything on there, it gives you, it's like a little mini IP config. So it gives you what your IP address is, what the name of the interface is, those kind of things. And then it goes out and tries to touch the internet. It tries to touch internetbeacon.msedge.net. So loving me PowerShell. And that was just a little good one to add to your bag of tricks.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty fun. It reminded me a lot of our good friend Netcat, right? I don't know if you ever played with Netcat back in the day.
God, yes.
Right, and so Netcat, for those of you who aren't familiar, it was originally a Unix tool, right? Before we even had Linux, it was a Unix thing. And so Netcat was kind of a port scanner. I guess that was really its primary goal. So it was a port scanner, but you could do some other different tools with it. It just had, 1,000 little switchblade options you could do to kind of go. And back in my darker days, shall we say, I used to maybe use it to kind of fill out some things and just see what was going on with the system. And it feels like, Netcat was imported to Windows. So that was the version I always used. But this test net connection seems to be the same type of thing as, a way for me to go and do semi-bad things.
Yeah, and I've always used it as a ping replacement tool. obviously typing ping, there's just muscle memory there because I've been typing ping for 20 years. And it's only 4 characters. If you remember, Shane, way back in the day when we were in our stages of grief moving from STS ADM to PowerShell, when we were in the anger phase or the bargaining phase, I forget, but it was the whole, everything's so much more tough to type in PowerShell because there's so many more characters. So test net connection is one of those that I have to make myself use because I'm just not used to it yet. But that's the one that I use all the time when I'm testing things. So I use it more for that kind of stuff. I don't use it for nefarious things because I'm a good person. You use it for other things because you are a bad person.
Yeah, see, I took advantage of being, my late teens and being a network systems guy, right? Where I was like, this is all my network, I can do whatever I want. So I used to do things like run netcat against my entire environment to see what was going on. Then I used John to see how many passwords I could rip off the wire.
Loftcrack.
Yeah.
That was I got some interesting passwords running Loftcrack and on our 80s at work. Yeah.
And then what was it? Was it Air Snort, I think?
Yeah.
Right? Was that the one that you could pull the wireless access points and the keys from in the beginning?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, Air Snort. And then there was an IDS, so then I put an IDS on to see if I could stop myself, and it was awkward and weird, and the FBI, and yeah, so I stopped.
So that's a good one. Testnet connection, a good one to add to your bag of tricks.
Yeah, and so I think speaking of PowerShell, just to jump to E there.
Sure.
And this is a conversation you and I kind of had in passing, and then we got sidetracked. But turns out, my videos on get.command and get-help and get-alias, and that stuff is really popular, which is great, right? I enjoy making content that people are really consuming. Like over 10,000 people watched how to get command. And so where I'm struggling now, though, is what do I follow that up with? So I would love if any of you guys have got any suggestions. You can hit me on Twitter at Shane's Cows. Where do you take that, right? 'Cause I've got an objects video, but a lot of the stuff I do apparently is too complicated, right? They want to go, so what's the follow-up to get command? I don't know. Thoughts?
So what Shane's trying to do is attain that gold twice that he's gotten from that first video. He's gotten that taste of internet sensation. Here's what I think is the secret to the success of that particular video, Shane. So for those of you that haven't watched, on HBO, there's a documentary about computer stuff, a documentary called Silicon Valley. And it's a documentary about all things startup and computer, and it's great stuff. But in one, and I'm going to spoil it for you, so if you're not caught up on Silicon Valley, tough. But there's one spot where they're trying to prove how popular an application is, and it's gotten so many clicks and so many signups and all that. They actually paid somebody in a click farm somewhere to click. So my suspicion about that video of yours that's so popular is that somebody somewhere saw that documentary and decided to do that, but they accidentally gave them the URL to your video instead of the one they're actually trying to promote. And that's the only explanation that makes any sense.
I struggle to disagree with you. And, so it's interesting, right? Because we joke about the click farms and things like that. But, I can tell you firsthand, right? Things like the number of Twitter followers we have and the number of YouTube subscribers and all that stuff. What it is those people that spin up those click farms, they can't just beat on one URL. So they have to go and 40, right? And they have to go and, follow 100 people on Twitter and then follow the one person who's paying them. And that's where a lot of our stuff comes from, right? And the more that you have, the more likely you are to get picked up by the farms. And it's just this big snowball. And that's how it's why I push so hard to get to 100 subscribers, right? 100 subscribers got me X number of fake subscribers. When I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'll hit a new threshold. I'll get even more fake subscribers. And it's terrible, but it's how the system works.
Yeah, it's So if you want to indulge Shane in his delusional fever dream of being famous and making a second great PowerShell video, shoot him some of your ideas.
Yeah, and let's be honest, right? I'm making $1.75 a day from YouTube ads, so that monetization is banking me.
You've made 17 cents since we went on the air. That's how popular these things are.
I'm just going to start doing I can do this
once a day. Once a day. Almost twice now.
I know, every 2 days I can do it twice now. Every other day.
Yeah. Those days feel good. Those days feel great.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the next one is just kind of a fun thing. It was a tweet on Twitter about why we call fixes to software patches. And it's something, I mean, I've known this forever, but it's kind of slipped away. And as a guy who runs a patch site for SharePoint, I thought this was interesting. But they show, the reason we call them patches is they've got an old card punch, and there's literally something patching a hole where they made they were patching the software. Something was wrong with the holes they punched. They had the wrong stuff in there, so they, instead of repunching the whole card, they just patched the holes that were wrong and poked new holes.
And think about, somebody thought they were a genius the first time they thought of that. Instead of, hey, I got to remake this card. It's like, well, what if I just put a piece of tape over this?
Yeah, we can take some of this electrical tape off my glasses and we can put that over that.
Yeah. So it probably jammed the card reader the first time when he put some, really crappy tape on there, and he ended up doing $10,000 in damage. It probably took him a while to find, some industrial strength stuff that'd go through the card reader without issue.
Yeah, and so a completely unrelated and off schedule completely. I'm listening to this podcast that I'm bringing up now called 50 Things That Made the Modern Economy. Great little thing. It's a BBC thing, and the segments are like 7 to 10 minutes. But one of them is on Grace Hopper and the compiler, and just how different computers were when Grace Hopper was doing the thing that she would. But she had this idea. She's like, hey, instead of having every machine be different, why don't we put this little intermediate language in the middle? And that way, just great stuff. So, and it kind of covers, she did a million great things, coined the term bug and all that kind of stuff. So if you get a chance, 50 Things That Changed the Economy, go grab that and listen to the one about the compiler. Very fun stuff.
Nice. But we do have her to blame for devs also. So,
yeah, that's probably true.
All right, should we roll on to that segment of the show where we just do a bunch of Microsoft's news releases, or you want to do anything else in there?
Hit it. I want to do Jay, so make sure we put that one in there. But
do Jay first.
Oh, Jay, oh my God, I was going to take a drink, but now I'm all worried. So Shane and I were both long-suffering Windows Phone users, and we wanted to love it. God, we wanted to love that platform. And I did. I loved the platform. There's just no apps. There just was nothing. Nothing to run on the phones. And so we reluctantly both gave them up. And I moved to Android here a couple of years ago. Shane moved to the iPhone. Shane now understands what we were all talking about being able to use our phones for something other than phone calls. Whole new world.
You mean like the other day when I actually deposited a check with a mobile banking app? I was like, look at me. I got skills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And complete sidetrack, but that thing was impressive, right? I mean, you literally held it up and it just figured it. I was like, move closer, move this way. Shane, quit being stupid, move your finger off the lens. It was a pretty impressive app. So kudos to US Bank for a great app.
Yeah, and that's so some of that stuff, if you haven't done it yet, regardless of the platform you're on, grab like the Office Lens is one that's on both platforms. And then Google has one called PhotoScan that also does it. But the things that they're able to do with the cameras on smartphones and the smarts on smartphones for scanning pictures and documents and OCRing them and doing things like that take the glare out from the bad lighting, man, it is amazing stuff. So definitely check that out.
And where is that tech? Why does my webcam have to take the glare off your forehead for me?
I pay extra for that. I'm actually adding that with XSplit. There's an extra glare. I used to. So our buddy Justin told me a long time ago about those little glare wipes, and here they are.
Yeah.
I just haven't done them for a while.
You're after that one. I can't think of his name. Right? That does all the lens flares. Right? You're like, I've got the.
There's a bunch of. Joss Whedon does it. The guy that did the Star Wars one. Oh my God, name's blanking me now.
Yeah, Star Trek guy. I can't think of his name.
Lost. Oh my God, J.J. Abrams.
There you go. There's our lens flare guy. So is that it? You're really just after a career as being the lens flare guy?
Yeah, lens flare's been done, and it's been done by some of the greats. Forehead glare, though, that is the next one. And you're not doing so bad yourself, buddy. I wasn't going to say anything, but you're studying under the master. You're coming along nicely.
Hey, I'm trying. If I get this angle just right, there it is.
Yeah, for me, it's those damn lights right above my head.
And I have tried. I've got different light bulbs and all the different lights. It's lighting. We won't go there.
So the reason I started talking about phones 8 to 10 minutes ago was because it's come out here in the last couple of days that Microsoft has a patent on a foldable or a phone with a foldable screen. So Shane and I's buddy Paul Thurrott had an article about this. And it's a patent where the phone is really tiny, and I should have had a prop to do this, but super thin that when you fold it together, it's like the width of a phone. It looks like a phone, and you can use it with one hand and all that. Yeah, it's close. Yeah. So the size of a phone, but it actually splits apart, and so that it can be a phone, or it can double its size, and it can be a tablet, or you can stand it up, and it can be like a tent or something like that. But they're thinking like the Surface phone that comes out this year, that's rumored to come out this year, may have this in it. But that's really some like next gen stuff, next level stuff there. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's you knew it was coming, right? We've been along. This has been the form factor for a phone for way too long, right? We've known that it's time for something crazy to happen, and foldable phones, why not?
Yeah, it's getting there. Kind of related, I was looking, so everybody's coming out with new phones now. LG's released that they're going to be coming out with the LG 6 or the G6, and Samsung started talking about the Galaxy 8. And I love how when LG's talking about their new phone, they're like, and our phone's not going to burst into flames. It's got this heat pipe in it. It's not going to set your pants on fire. It's going to be awesome.
Well, so I guess you didn't see the article, but apparently next Monday, Samsung plans to finally publicly release what caused the Note 7 to catch on fire and explode. So I'm looking forward to that being a topic of discussion next week for us.
Yeah, and I've read a bunch of stuff about that. They're going to cop it all in the battery. They're going to say it was the battery. I don't know what else they can say. I mean, they're done as a company if they're like, I don't know why, phones just blow up. Really hoping the next one doesn't do it.
We shouldn't have put the gasoline in there. I mean, you know.
Who could have known? So this whole foldable phone, I'm curious to see. I can't imagine what it would take for me to go back to Windows Phone at this point, but I'm curious to see what they got going on.
Yeah, well, and Paul, talked about the fact that, where does this fit in with Continuum and stuff, right? Microsoft's working on pieces. They've got a bunch of interesting pieces out there that at some point, in theory, are going to present us with a device that we all must have. But then we'll all be like, but I can't take pictures of phone or checks and deposit them in the bank anymore. What do I do?
Yeah, it's all the apps. It's all the apps. Now, I will say, I don't think it's impossible for Microsoft to take the lead. There have been numerous times in the 10 years that we've had smartphones where we thought, oh my God, nobody will ever unseat Apple. Oh my God, nobody will ever unseat Android. Nobody will ever unseat Nokia. Everybody that gets to the top, there's only one place to go from there. And so it's possible.
Yeah, there's plenty of articles out there already, right? That Apple is dead. Apple's day of the sun is over and all that. I mean, people love to write that stuff. More clickbait than anything else. But I mean, who doesn't like a good clickbait?
Here are the 5 reasons why Apple's dead. Number 3 will shock you.
You know what? I saw a clickbait article today. I was like, I want to read, and I didn't. I was so proud. I stopped myself from reading it because it's not going to satisfy me. But I really wanted to see what number 7 was.
So it's like that thing somebody posted on Facebook, and then I just go read the comments, and somebody in the comments tells me all the things in there.
All right, we probably should wrap this puppy up.
Greg, do I? You put I in there. Go ahead and do I.
Oh, you're so kind. Oh. So last one here is, our friends Microsoft. They bought another AI company. It's called Mbumbu or Mbumbu. I don't know. I can't pronounce the word, but it's a Canadian company. It's probably why I can't pronounce it.
Orange Poem.
Shut the heck up. See, I edited it on the fly.
Very good.
But yeah, so they're investing once again. This is another one of those companies. If you go and kind of read that company's mission statement, right, they were kind of skipping over this gen of AI, and they were already actively starting to work on this concept of machines comprehending, kind of like the Watson-y stuff, or at least what IBM tells us Watson can do at this point, right? So teaching machines to go and read an article and put that into context and, make some common sense decisions based on what's there, and then go and apply that knowledge. So they're not like trying to make a AI bot for today to have, a hello world conversation with you. They're one step down the road, and Microsoft went and bought them and snatched up the 2 lead inventors and added them to their new think tank or not new, but Microsoft's existing think tank on the intelligence and the speech recognition stuff. So
there are some crazy things going on with all that, and I can't wait to see where all that goes. Part of me is terrified that everything's listening to everything that I say because it wants to be helpful. But then there's that article a couple weeks ago about the cops trying to get access to a guy's Amazon Echo and his account because they think there might be a murder or at least the victim recorded in there. So I'm gonna have to use my inside voice a whole lot more than I'm accustomed to.
Yeah, well, we unplug our Echo when we're not using it.
So you don't even trust the mute button on it?
Nope, we just unplug it.
Really? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, there's just too many cases like that, right? The cops like, hey, can we get your Echo? The same with these people who have surveillance, right? Hernandez, he had surveillance in his own house and was used against him for his, he killed the dude. I mean, it stops being convenient for me if it can help me go to jail. Not that I do bad things. I'm a good guy.
Yeah. So it's funny about the Echo thing. One of the sites I go to all the time is Instructables.com, and it's all about building stuff with Arduinos and Raspberry Pis. Somebody made a product or a project that you could use an Echo phrase. I won't say her name. You could use an Echo phrase to shut off the power to your Echo. So it was like a little box that had, USB power in, USB power out, that powered the Echo Dot. And then when you would say, Echo, do skill, shut off power, it would shut itself off. And then it wouldn't come back on until you went over and manually powered it back on. So there's more folks like you out there.
Yeah, I've always wanted a tinfoil hat. My head's so damn big, I can't get one that fits.
Yep. So you should, yes, that is all true. Have you looked at any of like the network aware switches, like the Wemo stuff and all that?
I mean, I'm aware of them, but I've never looked into them.
So they're like $40, and it's just and I got one, but I can't reach it from here. But it's a plug-in that you can control with an app or whatever. So you could essentially plug your Echo into that, and then with your smartphone, now that you've got one that's actually a smartphone, you could turn it on and off and just kill the power. But you could also set schedules in there. So you could say, shut it off every night at 10, turn it back on every morning at 8, all that kind of stuff. I use those all over. I've got a heater in my garage, and it's electrical. It's gas, but it's electrical. I don't care if it gets cold in my garage at night. So I've got one of those things plugged in, shut the heater off at 9 o'clock at night, kick it on the next morning at 7. I had it for the Christmas lights. You get the Christmas tree in, you can't get back in there. Same deal. Turn the Christmas lights off at 11, turn them on at 7.
Yeah, I used to buy widgets like that, and I used to have a job. I think there's a correlation there.
Well, these widgets are cheap. You'd only have to have like 3 weeks worth of YouTube videos, and you could have one.
Yes. There you go. We're going to put my whole life into how many YouTube videos I have to make.
Yeah. All right. So on to production or a promotion. We skipped promotion last week. We were so excited to get you out and doing your thing. So my birthday is Saturday. I will be celebrating that. In the meantime, before then, and maybe for another week or so, we'll see. Got to talk to Lori about this. We're still doing the charity drive for my birthday. Go out to pointgowan.com. That is pointgowin.com/TK charity and donate some money to a charity. I don't care what charity it is. It's not my charities. Any charity that is important to you, go out and donate some money to that charity, and then tell Lori about it. And she will put it up. We're tallying all the podcast listeners and hooligans in the chat room, all the money that they donate. We're gonna tally up, and then this year I'm gonna match. So go out there, give till it hurts, so it hurts me too. And then sometime around my birthday, whatever, I'll talk to Lori. We'll get that tally, and we'll talk about that.
Very cool stuff. It's very nice of the hooligans to support your need and not send you anything, but just donate to charity instead.
Yes, that is very nice. Though if they sent some cookies or something, I would take some cookies.
Brownies.
M&M's, brownies. Oh, I like brownies. No brownies from Colorado or Washington, though. No.
Still not legal in Iowa, huh?
No, still not legal.
So the only promotion I had was I did announce another one of my PowerShell 101 classes. So if you know anybody who needs to learn PowerShell, spend an hour and a half with me talking about the basics. February 9th is the next one of those. So sign up often. Just put your credit card out there. Just hit buy as many times as you can. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and what's that class cost? You might have said I kind of zoned you out there for a minute.
$99 whole dollars. Right? 90 minutes for $99. I mean, free. It's cheap at half the price.
It's and then if you haven't got enough of that, Shane and I will be going to SP TechCon in Austin, Texas. It's April 2nd through the 5th. I forget what we're going to be talking about there. Some Azure AD stuff, some PowerShell stuff. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think we ever finished submitting stuff, if I'm being honest, but that's the problem for another day, not today.
Yep. So go to sptechcon.com, sign up for that. You can meet us there. We'll be doing sessions. Pretty much when we show up to SP TechCon, we just try to get into everything we possibly can. Shane took over the lightning talks at least twice. We weren't even invited once. I don't know how that happened. All kinds of stuff. So if you want to come hang out at SP TechCon, and it's a great little conference, very intimate, very friendly. So check that out.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day asking me about different conferences, and I told him SP TechCon's probably the best SharePoint only show around. So if you're ever looking for one, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's a good one, and I missed my very first one last month. I still feel a little sick to my stomach about that. Good conference, good people. All right, that buttons it up. Do you have any final words for the folks, Shane? Besides your stomach growling because I kept you late.
I love you guys. Thanks.
For those in the chat room, thanks for sticking around to the audio problems. I'll be around for a little bit. Everything's normal next week, so we'll see you guys all next week. Thanks. See you later.
Toodles.